What's going on, guys? Welcome to the David F. Haas podcast. In the studio, solo today, and I'm going to give you a little insight into like my world and what I got going on, and it's going to kind of be the theme of this podcast. But I think it's always good to hear it through story or through somebody else's perspective, because then you can take that perspective and apply it into your own life. And I'm obviously, I'm in it. Like I'm busy. I'm running. I'm in the middle of running Lungo Vita, and trying to maximize the potential out there at Lungo Vita. I got my coaching going on. I'm coaching several clients right now. I'm doing the podcast. I'm releasing content. I'm doing all of this stuff, and it recently came to me, and I don't even know. I wish I could actually pinpoint where the awareness came from. It's come to me so many times, and it's just been in one ear out the other. And this is the way that awareness usually works, is that you have to hear it sometimes, unfortunately, like 1,000 times before it finally sticks. And I'm hoping that this is the time. Well, this good thing I'm documenting here on the podcast, this is the time that it finally does stick. And if I would have figured out this one thing throughout the course of my business career, I'd probably be a lot richer than I am now. And that one thing is having focus. And if you just kind of heard the list of all of the things I've recently been doing, you're going to recognize that I haven't been very focused. Now, while it seems that I'm doing a lot and I'm super busy, there has been an extreme lack of focus and direction on what I'm doing with respect to like what is the common goal. And part of the reason I got kind of deviated from this is because I kind of went down this spiritual path, and I started getting connected to, what it was I really wanted to do, as opposed to just making money. And so when I started asking myself what I really want to do, it moved into like helping people. And then I got torn between, building Lungo Vita and making money, and which it needs to do, and helping people, which is in the coaching and the retreat model of Lungo Vita. It was just like, there's just so much. And actually, the awareness came to me about why focus is so important. It was because I started golfing again recently. I kind of stepped away from sailing, and I've been golfing, and I made it my goal to break 80 in golf this year. And I was just super focused. I didn't do anything extracurricular. The only thing that I did was play golf in my free time. Outside of family, and like anytime I had free time, I was playing golf. I got consistent. I play 3 times a week. I practice once a week. I have a coach. I have 2 coaches, actually. I just got laser-like focused on breaking 80 in golf. And guess what? It showed up for me. It showed up a couple times this year, actually. And so that was the aha, combined with just hearing it and some of the stuff I've been reading and some of the content. And so like, as you begin to open your awareness to the field of being laser-like focused, you start to see all of the areas where people have been focused and have become successful. You then begin to review all the areas in your life where you got focused and got success. And so in all of that awareness, I'm like, oh my God, I lack focus. And I've done this like over and over and over again. When I opened up Treehouse, I was super focused on Treehouse. I took that business from doing $500,000 a year to 1.3 million a year in a matter of a 3-year period. I then proceeded to lose all my focus and go buy apartment buildings, open up other restaurants, and spread myself way too thin. I then sold all of that stuff and got laser-like focus on Treehouse again, increased sales for 7 straight years by 30% every year for 7 straight years until COVID hit. And I was making more money than I'd ever made, all because I was super focused. I sold Treehouse. I had my coaching business. That's all I was focused on, was coaching. My coaching clientele blew up. I was doing, probably $250K a year in coaching one-on-one, which is kind of exhausting, but I was like having really great success in coaching. And then I bought Lungo Vita. And so then I lacked my focus. Again, I spread my focus too thin. I kind of shut down my coaching. I put all my focus on building Lungo Vita. I built Lungo Vita up to a point where the operations could be turned over to someone else. And then I spread my focus too thin. Like this cycle of not having focus has been repeating throughout my whole entire life. And I recognize that part of it is about part of the reason why most people lack focus is that we get bored in the mundane. And so part of pushing through new levels of success is to continue to do the work that is boring and find a way to make it not boring. And so every time things kind of begin to get boring, the idea is to go and find the next thing, right? Or to shift your focus into something else. And so part of it is staying in the boring work, finding a way to make it not boring. And the second is recognizing that there is like a ceiling of deservingness that we unconsciously hit repetitively. And so every time you hit to a certain level of wealth, certain level of happiness, certain level of love in a relationship, we will begin to exhibit behaviors that will pull us back down into our comfort zone of deservingness, let's call it. It's called an upper limit switch. It's in a book that I cannot remember the name of right now, unfortunately. But if I ever think about that name, I'll bring it up to you. But it's all about the fact that we have this level of deservingness, and it's like think of it like a box that we kind of hit the top of it, then we bounce back down to the bottom, then we hit the top. And now the recognition that we need to make here, the realization I should say, is that when we hit the top of it, to start observing those behaviors so that we can recognize what we're doing, and then we can push through that limit. And that's what I'm doing here. Recognizing that my MO is to lose focus, to begin spreading myself in a bunch of different directions when a certain level of success shows up, is part of my mechanism to keep me in this comfort zone. And so I'm going to push beyond that comfort zone by getting laser-like focus. And so that's created a shift in the strategy that I'm kind of implementing in my life. So I'm still going to release, the plan is to release the podcast still, to release some social media content. If coaching clients come, I will take them, but the majority of my time will be spent on making Lungo Vita what it was meant to be made, which is going to be like a world-class resort. You know, we're going to have a restaurant out there. We're going to be doing all kinds of corporate retreats coming up soon. We're going to be doing more of the work that I do out there. And we're just going to get laser-like focused on expanding awareness, expanding sales, and making Lungo Vita into what it was always meant to be. And everything else is going to get pushed aside. And so if Alex Hormozi says that the only thing that he does is go to the gym, work, and watch Netflix. That's his life, right? And so it's like, that's kind of like what we're going to do. We're just going to be laser-like focused. And then even in that laser-like focus, you have to be careful that you don't get too pulled in so many directions. So like right now at Lungo Vita, just to kind of give you an example, we have my reset coming up in October, the Lungo Vita reset. It's a 4-day, 3-night retreat. We did it last year. It was amazing. If you want to get more details, you can just go to lungovita.com, go to the retreat schedule. You can check that out. But we got the reset. We have fall coming up. We have, and we're launching a corporate retreat program where people can bring their staff out to Lungo Vita to just unwind and disconnect for the day, which will be hugely healing and probably make people's employees way more productive. But you could even see in that it's easy to spread our focus too thin. Now, while it's all under the umbrella of make Lungo Vita what it's supposed to be, it is easy to see how you could get pulled in a lot of directions within your own business. And so I recently heard this really amazing analogy about what makes really, really successful people super successful. And now I'll give it away quickly. It's focus. But basically what he says, and this is where I was trapped for years, is that entrepreneurs are trying to do everything in their business. And most entrepreneurs that are stuck at the lowest levels are doing 80% operations and 20% like strategy and marketing. When you get to a next level, and this is kind of like where I think I am, you're focused more on, less on operations, but you're trying to get leads. You're trying to get those sales, convert those leads into sales. You're trying to focus on the fulfillment of those sales, meaning making sure you're delivering on whatever it is that you're selling these people. So you're focused on these three things. And so that's where I've kind of been, is focused on those three instead of all on everything, with operations and everything. But he said the people that make the most money are the people that are focused on one thing, which is getting leads, and is what he said. And I said, oh my God, yeah, like that's it, right? And like, that's the next level, is to get laser like focused on one thing. So at Lungo Vita, I can turn over the sales to the people that are, let's look at corporate retreats. With corporate retreats, I can turn the sales over to the person that's already doing our retreat stuff. She can take care of all of the corporate retreats, and we just hired on another person that can also do some of that. The execution is over to my two managers out there. So basically the fulfillment. So when people come to that retreat, they are getting, the service, the places, what people expected. The sheets are clean, the beds are made, the bikes are functioning, the pool is the right temperature. They're focused on the fulfillment of what it is they're selling. Where my focus is going to be on driving people, driving the leads, and then passing those leads off to the sales team. So this is like the next level of focus. So it's obviously simple to say, I got one focus. It's going to be to open up a business and make that business the best thing I possibly can make it. But then within that business, you may find that your focus gets pulled in a bunch of directions. And so the next step of focus is to get focused on one thing, one element of that business. And that's basically what I've been missing for the last 30 years of entrepreneurship, right? Which was like, I started my first company when I was 16. And ever since then, I've gone through a series of realizations that continue to move me closer to the end goal. And the end goal for me is not necessarily getting rich. It's about being the best at whatever it is I decide to be the best at. So if I'm golfing, I want to be the best golfer. If I'm sailing, I want to be the sailor. And if I'm running a retreat center, I want it to be the best retreat center. Not for clout, not for, hey, I told you so, not for proving that I can do it because I know I can do it. It's just a matter of like doing good because like anything less than would feel like I'm not fulfilling my potential, essentially, right? And your potential is just like what it is that you create. Like your potential could be whatever it is that is made up in your head. Some people's potential is to go to university and get $100,000 a year job. And if they fulfill that, they may stop there, right? Other people's potential may be to build $1 billion business. We're all at different levels of consciousness. And so whatever that may be. But for me, in the goal that was set out to create Lungo Vita was to create a space that people can come to and disconnect and unplug from the day-to-day noise. And I have been not allowing that model to grow to its full potential because I had to spread my focus in other areas. And now that I'm going to get focused, it's going to be kind of like amazing to watch what unfolds. So what is it today? September 5th? It's September 5th today? Oh, this is also an important day today. It's my 14 years of not drinking, right? And so 14 years ago, I made the decision to quit drinking because I recognized that drinking was a limitation to me fulfilling, my potential for living the life of my dreams. And so I just cut it out. And it was through a process of spiritual growth and some healing that happened along the way, of course. But I just basically made the decision I wanted to cut it out. And isn't it interesting today that I'm having this new realization? Now, granted, it was coming to me before this podcast, so just in full disclosure. But by making this podcast, I'm kind of setting in stone that I'm no longer ever again going to allow myself to get pulled in multiple directions. I'm going to get laser-like focus on what it is that I want to achieve, and then I'm going to set out to achieve it. And now here's the wild thing, guys, is that if you are able to do this with whatever it is that you want to focus on, the results come pretty quick. Like, it doesn't have to take 10 years. Like, it can happen like really, really, really. Like, look what I did at Treehouse when I was 21 years old. I was a 21-year-old kid, no clue what I was doing. And in 3 years, I went from doing 500K in sales to 1.3 million. I was probably profiting at that time about 250,000 a year. And I was paying my salary. And I was 21 years old and it only took me 3 years. Right. And so it's like, you can make things happen really, really fast if you stay focused. And it's so easy to get pulled in so many directions. And it's so easy to seem like you're doing so much and you're so busy, but you're really just, spreading this really, really wide net and not catching very many fish, right? And so what we want to do is just get laser-like focused. And then within that thing that we're focused on, we want to get focused even further on just one simple thing that you think is going to be the thing that moves the needle most. And a great exercise that I'll leave with you as we wrap this podcast up is something that my buddy Cam Crowder introduced me to. But essentially what you do is you make a list of what it is that you want out of life. So you say, I want to be a millionaire. Let's just use that example. And then I want you to write out 20 ways. You can't stop until you hit 20. And you can't Google or anything like that. You got to come up with them on your own. So if you get stuck, that's fine. You just sit in silence and you wait for whatever answer you want to come to you and you write it out. And you have to get to 20. So you write out those 20 ways. And so you go through every single one of those. And if you're listening to this and you're doing this in real time, I guess you'd have to pause, and then you pause. Now, after you've made that list of 20, I want you to circle the top 3 things that, if you did those things, or actually, it's just one, sorry. I want you to circle the one thing that really jumps off the page at you. And if you were to do that one thing, all of the other things on that list would kind of automatically happen, right? And so whatever that one is, that's your action step. That could be the thing that you, with 100%, you give 100% of your effort towards. That could be the thing that you focus on. So a lot of people don't even know what they're supposed to focus on. So this exercise will give you the idea. So you can even do this within your own current business, within your relationship, whatever that may be. You could write out a list of 20 things that you could do to improve your relationship. And then the one that jumps out on you, that is where you put all of your attention. That's where you put your focus. And if you just do that one thing with consistency and an attention to detail and a focus, then everything else on that list will kind of just automatically happen. This is the power of focus. This is the thing that I've missed for 30 years. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're younger than 45, like me, you're way ahead of the game and you can get laser-like focus. So that's what I want to leave you with, and just watching the repetition of being pulled away, because I had to get pulled away. I don't know how many times until hopefully, I don't even know if it finally stuck. It just feels like it's stuck here in this moment, but it's very easy to let that next shiny thing catch your attention and pull you away, which is going to basically for me is a survival pattern to keep me in the safety of the known. In order to push beyond that, I have to stop looking at what's next and just keep focused on what's right in front of me until I achieve the desired goal. Now, here's the thing. Once you achieve the desired goal, then you can look at the next thing, right? So it's like, then you can say, oh, I'm here at the mountaintop. Let's just say Lungo Vita is doing $5 million a year, right? I'm like, okay, what's next? Do I open another Lungo Vita, right? Do I sell? Do I bring on a partner that can run the show completely and I can go focus on coaching? Whatever it is, you can look at what's next, but you can't look at what's next until you achieve the goal that you're after. If I said, oh, I want to break 80 in golf, and I also want to be a award-winning sailor, and I also want to be a award-winning videographer, it's not going to happen because I'm not focused. It's going to take me 10 years to break 80 in golf. It took me a year and a half to do it because I was focused. So this is the power that comes from focus. And I hope that I've said that enough that it's finally driven the point home. So you don't make the same mistake that I made and get focused for a little bit and then get drawn to the next shiny thing. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for taking the time to listen. If you got any value at all, just hit that like, subscribe button, share with a friend. See you again next Sunday.